All right, how about now? Do you still see me or do you see the screen?
It's still
You.
you.
Just me. Well, that's not a great start, is it? Because I've got Camtasia is running. All right. What I'm going to do then, what we're going to try to do, just to see if we can get something done, is Keegan, do you have any of that work done? Any of those non-OOP labs?
Yeah, I have some of them done,
All
but
right.
I had a difficult time trying to figure out some of them.
All right. What I did was I went and out of the 5 we didn't do as a class, I did 4 of them. That one was way too busy that had everything in the world that you could do on there, so I didn't do that one. But I've done the other ones. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to email that to all of you. All right? And then once you get it, open it up. And what'll happen is I guess you'll see me, but I'll have it up on the screen and you'll have a copy of it as well. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me try to send it out to you right now. I've got that in another thing up here, so let's see. Well, I did. I don't know what I did with it. I'll send it out right now. It'll take me just a second to do this, so. All right, I just emailed them out to you. Hopefully you're going to get them simultaneously. It's called Labs. Take it and if you would, unzip it to your desktop. And I'm going to start going over those, okay? So I sent you out an email. You probably saw the email. You know, it sounds like you both did. But I do want to mention this to you, you know, as far as from that email. All right? And it just says, today we start the remainder of class, etc., etc. I was hoping to be able to teach you guys from the Rankin classroom, but yesterday Don Pohl, our president, sent out an email saying we're supposed to work from home. And I'm not sure if that's because that's what they're doing in St. Louis or not, but that's just the way it is. So at least for today, we're trying Google Hangouts to see how it works. All right, if we have problems, we'll switch to something else by tomorrow. All right, like I said, that Zoom or something else. You both clicked on the link. You were both able to get in. Well, that's a good start. All right. So what it said on here was there's 3 things we want to do today. Number 1, all right, I want you to send me in your homework. So Keegan, you know, I've got the ones from you, Angie, but Keegan, if you can send those in to me as soon as possible, that would be good. Number 2, we're trying to get acclimated to this new setup. All right. And again, we're going to go over these particular problems. So am I right in assuming then that each one of you has got those problems? Yes?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay. Take them, and if you would, please take them right away and unzip them. Put them on your desktop or where you typically put things, and bring up the one that's called Lab1 _ Flashcards. And I'm just going to start going over what I did. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. I did test this first, and it does appear that I am still able to use Camtasia, and it's picking up everything. So again, what I'll make sure that I do is especially if we run into any problems, is I will make sure that with each one of these, I produce them and put them out there the same day. That makes sense?
Yes.
All right. So if you have questions or whatever, all right. Have you brought up the first one, or are you bringing it up?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now.
All right.
I have it up, and I need to send you 2 of my other labs. My one lab, I can't, that busy one, the store price inquiry one, I can't get to open, but I do have the other 2 done, but I had problems with all of them.
All right.
So
Well, again,
I'll go ahead and get those sent to you.
I understand. The hope is that by the end of our period today, and I can't see any way, I've already asked Mr. Corrigan, and what he has envisioned is these lectures taking 1 to 2 hours. Then afterwards, whether you stay on or not is up to you, but I'll be available, and I will keep the Google Hangup up and running until 11:55. But after I've gone over these 3 things, if it turns out that you're like, okay, I'm cool with everything, fine. If you're going to take off, you're going to take off. So I believe all 3 of these work, or 4 of them we're going to do. I'm sorry, not 3. All 4 of them that we'll go over this morning, they all work. Several of them are done in a very similar way, or in a way similar to what we've done earlier. I took the liberty, as you can see, is like I added a clear button. All right. You can do that. You don't have to do that. What is out there on any assignment that you do, what'll be out there on any hands-on test that you do, is the minimum of what's expected of you. If you decide you want to add an extra button or etc., you're able to do that. I have no problem with that. All right. Have you both had a chance to open it up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, and again, you can do the same thing, but I'm just going to run it. And again, I realize you're seeing me, you're not seeing that, but I wanted to just show it to you. So please run it. I have put 5 terms in there. Okay, just so you know, the 5 terms are data, information, input, output, and processing, all in lowercase. I didn't do any checks in here for uppercase. I didn't do any conversions. So if you type data in there and just hit the enter key, you should see right underneath there unprocessed information. So please try that and tell me if it works. Did it work?
I'm still getting mine to load.
All right.
Mine too.
What were the terms on this?
Just start by putting in the word data, D-A-T-A, all in lowercase, and then either click to find or hit the enter key.
Yeah, I got unprocessed information.
Right. All right. Then try it again and put in information, all in lowercase. And again, hit enter or click to find. Did that work?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And then try it again and put in the word processing, again, all in lowercase. And it should say converting data into info.
Yes.
All right. 4th one, just go in there and put in, what was it? Input. And it should say data entered into a computer.
Got it.
Then output, info generated by a computer.
Yes.
All right, now we're going to try just to make sure that it works. And type in there, I don't care if you put it in an upper or lowercase, but I'm going to put all mine in lowercase. Just type mother. And either hit enter or click define. And it should come back and it says, I don't know that term yet. What does it mean?
Yes.
Okay. Then just type in there something like married to father. If you don't like that, put your own definition in. It doesn't really matter. And then click add. All right. And it should come back with a dialog box that says definition added. Click OK. And you should be back where you were when you started.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? All right. Now put in mother in there in the term to define and hit enter. And now you should see it in there.
Yeah.
All right. So what we could do, because you could put up to 20 terms in there, we could put in 14 more definitions. I think that's foolish. So you both get the idea, right? As far as what's going on.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and stop the run. And you're back at your form. Right mouse click on your form and choose view code. And let's take a look at the code that's in there. And both of you, please let me know when you got the code up.
I have the code.
All right.
I've almost got it up.
And when you do, open up the form1.cs file. So double click on that. So you should have both the design and the code.
Yes.
All right. You'll notice up at the top, I removed all the using statements that we don't need. So there's only 2 in there. It's no big deal. Then there's a big comment that I literally took right from your handout. So I'm not going to read it to you. You can see it on the screen. The point is this. When you're writing something like this, when you first go in there and you're going to be testing it, change that 20 to like 3. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Because you shouldn't be putting 20 things in there. I did check, and I put in 20 things, and then I put in a 21st, and it did work. All right, but you'll have to take my word for it or try it yourself if you want to do that. So let's take a look at it from the top. So please go down to where it says global constants. So I'm in line 28. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. And I put in comments. There's not a boatload of comments in here. I wrote all this stuff out yesterday afternoon, or Saturday afternoon, I don't even remember. But just so you can see how, the way I'm doing things. First thing in there, and wow, that's interesting. See where it says max length is 6? That should have been 5. I know I put it in as 6. I put it in as 6 because, well, take a look on the screen here. Let's see. Mother's not in there. Yeah, I'm gonna put mother back in again. Okay. So married to father. All right. So try it again. Married to father. You don't have to run this, but I just wanted to check this for myself. So that's in there. Now, if I come in and I try to add in father, and I click define. All right. And I put in married to mother, and I click add. It comes back and it says failed attempt because the list is already full. So I did change that one. I forgot I did this. I changed that to 6. So line 29 says 6. So right now you can put in a maximum of 1 new definition. Once you try to put in more than that, it's going to fail. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So if you wanted it, you could make it 10 or 20 or whatever. All right. Then I've got the current number of array elements underneath there. Notice it's 5 because if you look, I've got 2 arrays right underneath there. Each one of them has 5 things in it. Then it has the empty string in there 15 times. So as we go and add elements into these arrays, those empty strings become actual values. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So one is terms, one is definitions. So as you can see, input results in data entered into a computer. Processing is converting data into info, etc. I'm not going to read all of them to you. All right. Now, there were a lot of ways to do this. And like I said, I could have gone in there and checked for capitalization, made everything uppercase, etc. We could have done all that. But I tried to put this in there where if you decide you're going to go in and key this stuff in yourself, what I gave you, I didn't want there to be 300 or 400 lines in there. I'm going to actually be going over a program. I don't know how I'm going to do this with my class next week that literally has close to 1,000 lines in it. So, I mean, and I'm going to, if they say, well, do you expect all of us to key that in? I'm doing it. It's not like when I do this stuff, I'm making it up or I've got this. I do not have for this. I don't have a key. This is my key that I made up. So anything that I'm asking you to do, I'm doing the same thing. So you see that we've got a string array called terms and a string array called definitions. Then let's go down to our define, our button define click event. All right, I'm taking for granted that unless you guys say something that you're there. So at the top of my screen right now is line 51. And you'll notice that I've got this Boolean that's called valid term that right now is set equal to false. All right. So what's the first thing that we're doing here? Well, you can already tell in lines 55, 56, 57, and 58, all right, in all of those, and 59, in those lines, I'm making sure that you inputted something into the text box. All right. Again, I'm just going to keep talking. If you have questions, you interrupt me. You're not bothering me at all. So notice if it is equal to the empty string, I wrote my own routine called show message box because I'm calling it from multiple places in here. And the first thing that I'm entering is going to be the text, no term inputted. And the second thing I'm entering is going to be the title. You did not input a term to check. I'm not going to go down there, but if I went down to the bottom of my screen, you'd see that particular routine. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I start working with this Boolean flag that's called valid term. And what am I doing? I'm checking first, are there terms in the array? All right. So you might say, well, you already put terms in there. Why would you even check that? No, I'm checking if the term I'm looking for right now is in the array. So if I typed in input, output, processing, data, or information, of course, this is going to come back true. But if I typed in something else, so let's say I typed in hello, it's going to come back false. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so look at the Boolean function there that's called check if term is in array. What that function is doing is it's saying, all right, go through, starting at the beginning, I want you to go through the terms array, and I want you to check that against whatever was just entered into our text box. And if you find it, return true. If you get all the way through and you haven't found it, return false. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So then go back up again to where we just called this and look right underneath it. Now it says if valid term, present definition in label, which means copy that to the label right below it. All right, so let's look at present definition in label. All right, I tried to keep these routines small so you could take a look and figure out what was happening. Notice what I do is I take the stuff on the bottom, that add button and that don't know yet, that's the other label. I make them both invisible by setting the visible property to false. Just in case they had previously been visible, they will now be invisible. Then I take and add, I say the definition text, go grab that. All right, so just grab that from the definition that I just put in and make that visible. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So if it didn't work when we tried doing this, we've got to go to add definition to list. So if you would please go down to that, it's right below this. And notice I'm kind of reversing what I did in that I'm setting that label for the definition because it's not there yet. I'm setting that to false. I'm setting my label don't know yet, which maybe is a dumb name, but I think you know what it means. I'm setting that to true. I'm setting my text box to true with the definition in it, or where I can put it in it, and I'm setting the add button to true. All right. Then notice right after that, I set the definition text to false, and I put the focus there so that you're able to go in and actually add the definition, and then click the add button. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what's next then? Go down a little bit further, down to line 130, and then what you'll see is this is what happens when you click the add button. And I called a routine called do the add or not, which is right up above this one. It's the longest routine that's in here, but I only want to add it. I only want to add it if A, I put something in there, and B, if there's room for it. Make sense?
Is that why on the function add definition to list, is that why you have that commented out?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Originally I had it in there, but then it was like, I don't want to do that all the time. When I made mistakes or when I tried doing some stuff, you'll see in some of these, I actually put some testing and stuff in here. And when I did this stuff, I left it in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this one is saying right away, if the text box was empty, all right, call a message box that says no definition inputted. You did not input a definition, and just return. All right. So if I get down to line 114, I put something in the text box. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the next check between lines 114 and 123 will only happen if there's room in the array. Because if current elements is less than max length, all right, and max length we set to 6 before, remember, because we can add up to one term, but that's the one that really should have been 20. So if there is room, that's basically what line 114 is asking. Is there room in both these arrays to go and put the new term in and the definition? If there is, we've got a new element. So in line 116, I'm adding 1 to my current number of elements. In line 117, I'm copying the term into that term, and in line 118, I'm copying the definition into that definition. Then just so the user knew that it worked, I put in there definition added, successful addition to flashcard list, and I clear the variables out in case I want to do it again. And then finally I return. Does all that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if this if that's in lines 114 to 123 failed, I jump down to line 125. And that's where it says flashcard list is already full. Failed attempt to put a new term into a fill list. Make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
And finally, the clear program variables is way down near the bottom. It starts on line 145 and it goes to 153. And all it does is it sets everything to false, and it sets the focus to my term. And notice if you look right above that, I also call that from form load to make sure that when I start, the entire thing is blank. All right? Now, I'm asking you, that I realize I can't imagine how you're doing this if you're just seeing my face. All right? But is it making sense to do this and go over it like this?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's easy to understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking you both this is tomorrow we're going to do one or two of these problems again in an object-oriented format. So I've got my choice. I can either A, send you the code and go over it, but you're not going to really learn anything that way. Or B, have you take this particular program, copy it. So take the whole folder, copy it into another folder, call it whatever, Flashcards 2 or whatever, and then strip out all the code and let us add the code tomorrow. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm going to expect that you guys are going to be able to do that by tomorrow. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying too, Keegan?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's the only way that you're going to learn is to do that. So let's close this one. And again, if you have questions, please stop me. But let's close this solution. All right. And then I'm going to bring up the next project, which in here is number 4. Remember, I think 2 is that real big one. Just forget that one. That's way too busy. All right. And if I get in trouble with Mr. Gudmested for not doing that one, then I'll deal with that. All right. 3 is the one, I think, the bank one we did as a class. I'm not doing that one again. All right. So bring up number 4, please, which is called GameBreak. Now, that one, hopefully, you didn't run into a lot of trouble with, because that one was very similar to what we did, I think, on the last test.
The only thing that I had problems with was whenever I would get, I could get the games to where when you search them, it brought up the information. But when I had went to set the error messages for, if you searched a game that wasn't there, every time I did that, it would give me the error messages for games that weren't there, but it would also give me those same error messages for games that were there.
Okay.
I had the same problem.
All right. Well, we're going to take a look at it right now. So hopefully right now you've got the have you both had time to bring the program up?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and run it. And again, I did no kind of work in here for checking for capitalization. So try League of Legends, and with a capital, both L's capitalized. So League space of space Legends, and click search.
Yeah, mine works.
Mine works too.
Yeah, and for some reason they put that price in there as 0. I don't know why he did that, but he did. All right, but notice that if you run it again, while it's running, just keep it up there and take the D or the S off of Legends and click it. Now it should say game not found, game not found, game not found.
Yeah.
Now what we could have done is, we could have, we've done this as a class. We could have gone in and, for example, written something more along the lines of doing a regular expression and just look for League or look for Legend. That's not what we were asked to do, though. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, it would have been possible. Also, you'll notice in here, I put in a clear button. You didn't have to do that. I just thought the program ran smoother with a clear button. All right? So let's go look at the code, if you would, please. And now that I look at it, I've got in here lines 2 to 8. You can see that they're gray. They're not being used. All right? You can remove them if you're so inclined. But you don't have to. It's up to you. All right, let's jump down then to the global constants. And again, if I'm going too fast or you're missing something, please stop me. All right, you both by the global constants?
Yes.
All right. Max length, we've got 5 array elements. That should make sense to you. This constant string, I just didn't want to have to write game not found 3 times, so I put it into a string. That's the kind of thing that you have to start thinking about as a programmer. It may not sound like a big thing. What if we get a lot more games in here? you don't want to always be putting in game not found. You know, you should get used to now by now is to using constants when you can. And I shouldn't have to tell you why we use them anymore. All right. So let's go down so that you can see both of the first two arrays. I call the one for the names. I called it names. The publisher, I just called it pubs. But you can see there's 5 of each. These are going to be parallel arrays, as will the one underneath it with the prices. All right.
Would it also have mattered if you made the prices array a string? Because that's what I did.
I would not do that because you're actually checking for prices. But you know what?
Okay.
Now that I think about it, could you do it? Yes. Yeah, I'm sure you could. And it might even be easier that way. You don't have to do any worrying then again, I guess, about data types. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions, though, on any of those 3 arrays?
No.
No.
Okay. Then let's go down to the search. All right? And when I don't remember if this is one of them, I don't have the assignment here with me. Well, maybe I do. Hold on a sec. Yep, I do have it. All right. So this is number 4. We were told to have a search for game routine and a show game info routine. So when we were asked for those, I tried to provide them. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay. So if you look at the search routine, I create a variable called position. And notice that I set it equal to the results of search for game. Since position is an integer, search for game must return an integer because we're stuffing it into position. So if you go down to search for game, remember it told us we could search either the name or the publisher for whatever term we put in. That's why I've got that test in there like I do. So it says start at the beginning of the array, go to the end. If either, all right, if either what I put in there into that text box matches the current name or matches the current publisher, then return the number. Notice the number. So if it's the third one that's found, 012, that'll return a 2. If it gets all the way through and it's not in there, I return -1. So -1 means it's not in the list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So jump back up then to your button search routine. If the position is greater than or equal to 0, remember 0 is the first array element. So if it's greater than or equal to 0, it should be either a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. Now, I didn't make a check in here to say if position greater than or equal to 0 and position less than or equal to, max length -1 or 4 or whatever, that might have been a better thing to do. Do you both understand that?
Mm.
Right.
Okay. So if it is greater than or equal to 0, now we go down to show game info. And that P that's in there where it says int P, all that is that's the current location. What you should notice on here, if you've not already, is I took the variable LCV, our loop control variable, I made it global. So if I set it in one routine, I can use it in another routine. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So lines 70 through 75 say, all right, I have found a game. Grab the current name and put it into the label for name. Grab the current publisher and put it into the label for publisher. Grab the current price and put it into the label for price. All right. On the other hand, if I didn't find the name, instead of show game info, right underneath it, it says show game not found info. And if that's the case, I put game not found into those same 3 things. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Then I've got a clear routine where I just clear out my labels. And you can see that I call it from the clear button in lines 84 to 87, and the routine itself is in lines 89 through 96. And all that's doing is it's clearing out the three. It's clearing out the three labels. It's clearing out the text box, and it's setting the focus to the text box. And I also call that on the bottom from my load routine for the form. Now, you might look at it and say, geez, mine almost worked and I did it, nothing like that, etc. But my question to you is, with what I just explained, does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when, tomorrow again, between tomorrow, and I'm going to really take my time tomorrow, I'm going to go back and we'll start with the first one. And even if that's all we do tomorrow, I don't really care. All right? But I'm hoping to maybe do 2 of them tomorrow, 2 of them on Wednesday, 2 of them on Thursday. All right? Make sense? And
Yeah.
whatever time we have left, I'll take for questions, or that's it. Because I don't want to do too much of this. First of all, as you can already tell, it's a weird medium to do it on anyway. There's a chance tomorrow I'm going to, like I said, Mr. Corrigan is using Zoom. Zoom has got a disadvantage in that your Zoom session only lasts for 40 minutes. And then you've got to start a new one, and I didn't want to have to do that. All right? But I'm going to have to either that or I'm going to have to try to figure out a way for this to work better. All right? I may end up sending you, just all blank copies tomorrow of each one of these that has just the 4-minute. I don't know. All right? Okay, so you have no questions on the first one, on the labels, and you have no questions on the fourth one, which is GameBreak. Am I correct with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Give me a second. What I'm going to do, because I'm not even sure if this whole thing is working on Camtasia. The test I did was literally 1 minute long. All right, so I'm going to stop and start up a Camtasia again. So this whole thing together will take me about 2 minutes. And when I get done, I'm going to bring up the job estimate where we did the description and you've got the wash windows, etc. So please bring that one up on your machines. All right? Yeah? Okay, so you bring that one up, please. The one that's called, I think it's Lab 5 job estimate. And you bring that up, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes.